Hello, I'm Sheena Wilkinson and I'm the author of Hope Against Hope, which I'm delighted to say has been nominated for the KPMG Children's Books Ireland Awards 2021. Hope Against Hope is a historical novel. It's set exactly 100 years ago in 1921. The whole world was just recovering from a worldwide pandemic. And here in Ireland, the country had been divided by a hard border. There were problems with trade boycotts, curfews, street violence, restrictions on normal life. Yes, I did say 1921, not 2021. But it's funny how books about the past can also tell us something about our present. Hope Against Hope is my birthday greeting to Northern Ireland, which of course is 100 years old this year. The novel is about Polly, who's 15 and lives in a small town on what has just become the Northern Irish border. She has seen this imaginary but very real line slash through her home place, cutting off neighbour from neighbour. She hears people argue about it and about this strange new state called Northern Ireland. But to be honest, like a lot of young girls, Polly is more interested in her own problems. Her mummy has died in the flu pandemic. She's keeping house for her daddy and her brother, who's just come back from the First World War. And her best friend, Catherine, has left her to go to college in Belfast, which is exactly what Polly herself dreams of doing, instead of being stuck at home, a skivvy, looking after two ungrateful men who expect her to do everything just because she's a girl, who don't expect her to want a life or any ambitions of her own. I suppose you could say Polly feels locked down. When things get violent at home, Polly runs away to Belfast herself and manages to get taken in at Catherine's hostel, Helen's Hope. It's a hostel for girls of all backgrounds, which in 1921 in Belfast was pretty revolutionary. In Polly's imagination, it's like a boarding school where the girls get up to all sorts of tricks and games. But in real life, it's quite a serious feminist space, which is trying to find a new way for girls to live together and challenge prejudice. I'll read you a wee bit to show what it's like when Polly arrives. She arrives in the middle of a riot, and one of the other girls from the hostel, Stella, gets hurt. And this is chapter 7, where Polly has just gone to her dormitory for the first time. The lavender room wasn't much like a school story dorm. It smelt of sweat, and I had to clamber and squeeze to get to my bed in the corner. "No chatting," Cassie said. "It's late. Polly's had a difficult journey." She might as well have told us not to breathe. The minute she left, two girls sat up in bed. "Where did you come from?" said one. She had flinty eyes and an accent like gravel, like the boys in the street. "Mullinkeen." She wrinkled her nose. She was about my age, mousy-haired with a thin plait. "That stupid place where Catherine comes from. She doesn't seem to know where it is." I narrowed my eyes at her. "Are you Ivy?" I asked. "How do you know?" I raised my eyebrows in what I hoped was an enigmatic way. I wasn't going to let on what Catherine had said about Ivy in her letters, but if she thought she was going to get away with bullying her, she'd have me to answer to. Catherine rushed in. "Yes, that's Ivy, and the other girl is Tessa. She's new. We're pals." Pals? So Catherine wasn't all alone, desperate for me? Tessa had a tumble of black curls and sparkling eyes like a smart puppy's. She grinned, showing small white teeth. I smiled back a little uncertainly and tried to take off my frock and put my nightie on without showing too much underwear. Then I got into bed. It was a small iron bed, the sheets worn but fresh. "Suppose you're a Fenian like your cousin?" Ivy said in a resigned voice. "Ivy!" Tessa sounded shocked. "We're not meant to ask." "We can ask," Ivy said. "We're just not meant to mind." "Oh, for goodness sake, who cares?" Tessa said. "Sure, we're all just one happy family here at Helen's Hope. Living together, working together, learning together," she said in a sing-song voice. "You know what Stella says." I tried not to think about Stella being hurt. "Catherine's told me a bit about Helen's Hope," I said, "but not exactly what it is." Depends who you ask, Tessa said. My ma thinks it's respectable lodgings to keep us away from bad boys. She grinned, and Catherine blushed. Cassie thinks it's a place to drum some learning into us. She used to be a teacher. You can tell by the look of her, can't you? Ivy said. Stella thinks it's an experiment in modern living and is going to change the world. Tessa rolled her eyes and giggled. I didn't like them making fun of Stella. When junior girls in the stories criticised the head girl, they always turned out to be the baddies. I didn't want to throw my lot in with baddies before I found out what the other girls were like. One thing to go to the bad myself, another to be dragged there by girls I wasn't sure about. Reverend Hamill from the Presbyterian Church thinks it's a den of iniquity, full of girls who are no better than they should be, Tessa went on. And God knows what the Catholic priest thinks. Catherine joined in for the first time. Who cares? Ivy said. Oh, it's not bad, Tessa said. They go on a lot about tolerance and understanding. So, is it like school? Not really, Tessa said. Cassie makes you go to classes if you can't read and write well. There's a sewing factory for girls to learn a trade. That's where you could work, Paul, Catherine said eagerly. Tessa went on, but some of us just go out to work and lodge here. I'm at a lemonade factory. She sighed. It's awful boring. Then she perked up. I don't like putting labels in lemonade bottles and hate the troubles in the city, but I love the picture houses and the music hall. She started to sing, The boy I love is up in the gallery. I couldn't help giggling. Are you allowed to go to music halls and picture houses and cafes? I asked. Tessa stopped singing. Not exactly, but a girl can hope. They don't lock us up. Ivy pursed her lips. You'd need locked up, she said. So as you can hear, a lot of people are suspicious of the girls' hostel because a lot of girls together were felt to be trouble, infecting each other with their silly ideas or even with revolutionary ideas. Girls in 1921 were supposed to keep quiet and not have their own opinions. But of course, lots of girls then, as now, were not prepared to do that and wanted to find ways to have their voices heard. I'm always grateful for women like that who paved the way. When I was growing up, I was quite feisty and argumentative, and I did a lot of debating and public speaking. It never occurred to me to keep quiet or to worry that my voice wouldn't be listened to. But I always knew that I had earlier generations of women to thank for that. So, as well as a kind of birthday greeting for Northern Ireland, Hope Against Hope is a thank you to the women and girls of 100 years ago who didn't accept their lot in life and who paved the way for all of those who've come after. Women and girls who dared to hope even when their lives were locked down and desperate. People always ask me, where do I get the ideas and inspiration for my historical novels? And I always say, but history is all around us. When I was writing Hope, I used to walk around Belfast and look at all the old buildings and imagine my characters walking around, maybe mixing with my own grandparents who would have been children at the time. Here's a photo of my gran and my great aunt in 1921, and I like to imagine that they could have mixed with the girls from Helen's Hope. And I know this sounds morbid, but I love a good graveyard. Reading the inscriptions, not of famous people, but just ordinary people living through extraordinary times, because every era is extraordinary in its own way. So why don't you take a walk around your neighbourhood, look at an old building, dig out some old family photos and see what stories you can weave around them? Or why not write your own birthday greeting to Northern Ireland or to the border? Write about your hopes for its future. Or why not think about someone from the past who dared to hope for a better world and write them a thank you message? Don't forget to let us see your work inspired by Hope Against Hope. You can ask a parent or adult to share it with Children's Books Ireland on social media. I can't wait to read them. Thank you so much. Bye.